Welcome back, Mike Ryan. You are a broken, but also, I imagine, after a couple of days getting rid of the emotional, you are somebody who is grateful for this University of Miami season. You've become an insider around the University of Miami basketball program. Do you have an answer as a reporter, as a guy who's got Messi news for us today?
Messi news.
As a reporter, do you have any insight you can give me as to why Bob Kraft is lending his airplane to the University of Miami basketball team after the Final Four to fly back to Miami? His private Patriots plane that Joe Zagacki tweeted out.
What?
Nice.
Okay, so I was fooled by the internet, or
No,
you
no,
don't
no.
actually
I
know about
had
this? This is the first you're hearing
No,
of this.
no. I guess I'm being told that happened. This is the first that I'm hearing about this. Congratulations, you're an insider.
You made that joke already. We heard you the first time. It's a Greg Cody Tuesday, everybody.
It was worth the second time.
It is. Yeah. You know, there's only so many times you can say Zagacki and mean it literally.
It's right. He was there. He took a took a picture on the plane on the steps.
Hot towel.
Greg, have you had work done? You look great today.
Thanks, Billy. You said that just like I asked you to. No, I haven't had work done. What does that mean?
You have a massive bandage on your forearm.
That's Jumpin' Charlie.
And your leg is bleeding.
Yeah. I know, and my leg was bleeding.
But you look great.
Thank you. Yeah. Right. Nobody can see my bleeding leg.
I want to understand what's happening here, where we're catching
There's
up.
blood coming from his leg.
Yeah, we're catching up with Greg Cody, but I believe that Billy was sincere when he complimented him on looking great, and then we chronicled all the places he was bleeding from.
That's what we do.
It's a lot of blood.
We're just guys. So Bob Kraft, that's wild. I don't why.
You have no information? Then give me the Messi information you got. What news have we not gotten? Because you're old Hollywood beckons now. You're traveling all over L.A., going to movie premieres, trying to become a movie producer.
Yeah. So I'm not trying to. I am a movie producer.
Well, congratulations.
Are you making that horror for Billy? Are you making that?
Can we stop talking about this thing openly on the air?
What happened to that? Did I get cut out of that?
No.
I haven't heard about that in months.
I'm working it, babe.
Do I need a lawyer?
Yeah.
Yes.
Dan keeps making it a horror. Just shut up, Dan. All right. So the Messi stuff, Barcelona is operating in the shadows, and basically all the deal points between Inter Miami and Messi have been ironed out. There is no more negotiation when it comes to Inter Miami. The sides know what the deal is. They've come to terms to the point
is that new? Is that you're telling me?
Yeah,
that
I'm telling you that the business aspects of the Messi and Inter Miami deal, the framework has been done.
What's not completed with Aaron Rodgers and the Jets is completed here. The paperwork,
right? He's up on contract, so you don't have to give compensation to anybody. So it's rather straightforward. Even though this is a little bit more complex because there's ownership stakes and whatnot going on with the Inter Miami deal. But the framework of the business deal between Inter Miami and Messi's camp has been done for a long time. Now it's basically, all right, can you sign on the dotted line here? And in soccer, and especially when Barcelona is involved, and even to a lesser degree PSG, which now more reputable places are reporting that he is not going to extend over at PSG. I was telling you that months ago. And so we got a situation here where the ball's in Lionel Messi's court, essentially. He has a decision to make. Does he want to go back to Barca? Does he want to come here to Inter Miami? As the deal stands right now, I don't think this deal from Inter Miami will be available such that it is next year. And there's reasons for that. I know a lot of people want to say, well, why don't you just spend another year in Europe, come back to this equity stake over here? The equity won't be as profitable if he does it next year. When shovels go in the ground in Mel Reese, the franchise value goes up on Inter Miami. And also, they get a cut if they hit certain benchmarks on the Apple TV deal. He would have a hand in making sure that those numbers are good. So there's a lot of reasons why.
Apple people should know, right? It was reported that Apple was about at 40% of where Apple wanted to be on MLS subscription. So if this becomes a deal, from what you're telling me, that's not just Miami and Messi, international global superstar, but also Apple.
Yeah.
That becomes a different deal because Apple's got a streaming service to feed.
Well, it's Apple in a sense that, there's like this weird option that Apple can exercise. No one anticipates that they opt out, but MLS wants to continue this partnership with Apple, and Lionel Messi coming over to the league in the summer would be huge, especially as they're debuting a new competition with Liga MX where it's a World Cup style tournament between those two leagues, and Messi would be joining Inter Miami. I saw one of Stugotz's old favorites, Shep Messing, reported that he has inside information.
Well, soccer meant something around here.
He has inside information that that Messi is coming to MLS and the deal will be announced soon. I've always stopped short of saying that. I've been under the impression that Inter Miami feel very confident, and even though they have confirmed my fears and suspicions about Barcelona and saying, look, it's up to Lionel, we still feel pretty good. All things considered. And for Barcelona, many people that follow the sport are wondering, where do you get this money? How many more levers can you possibly pull? They have sold against their future. They have sold their television rights to try to cash out and circumvent some of these financial fair play rules. The reason that Lionel Messi left Barcelona was, remember, he actually came to an agreement and Barca couldn't get it through legally. So there's all sorts of question marks as to how him going to Barca would even work. But right now, it's between Inter Miami and Barcelona, it would appear, with him not actually re-signing with PSG.
What's not new is a Miami deal being worked on in the shadows. Do we lead the country in deals that are worked on in the shadows? Do we ever work things out in the sun?
We must. It's Corbin's always saying a sunny place for shady people.
I will give Inter Miami a lot of credit because it had to have been done this way. There were a lot of meetings that no one ever found out about in places that would be sensational if it was reported out there. Inter Miami kept this quiet. They knew they had to get it to this point, which is basically everything has been talked out. Just sign on the dotted line.
But you know nothing about Bob Kraft's plane.
I'm just learning about that. Did you guys talk about how the refs cheated?
We will get to that in a second. We will get to UConn being as overwhelming a team as I have ever seen in this tournament.
I mean, it's easy when you're playing a different sport.
That's a dynasty, is it not?
They just dusted everybody.
But 5 titles in 24 years in that sport in a random tournament feels like a dynasty.
Three coaches. Stugotz is willing to do it. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. The greatest of compliments. How does he discuss the championship game? He has declared for his personal record book that UConn last night, not before last night.
Yep.
Last night, UConn became a dynasty.
So they did, easiest run in the history of the NCAA tournament. They played nobody.
I mean, over 24 cannot be a dynasty.
He doesn't want to make the Chiefs a dynasty, but he'll make UConn a dynasty.
No. In that random tournament where it's, one and done, to win 5 times in 24 years and never lose in the finals.
But not 4.
4's not a dynasty. The fifth one was needed for the dynasty.
24 years is too long.
They were
one every 5 years.
Good math on that.
I mean, they have more than Carolina, more than Duke, more than Kansas.
No, they don't have more than
Since
Carolina.
1999, they have more titles. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, why are we cherry picking 1999? Because it works for your argument?
Of course.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
That's when they won the first one.
Can you be a dynasty if you're not even the best basketball program on your own campus? That's my question.
Good question.
Put it on
I would say
great
so.
question. Put it on the poll at LeBatard Show, Juju. Can you be a sports dynasty if you're not even the greatest dynasty on your own campus? Also, points for degree of difficulty. Storrs, Connecticut, not a basketball hotbed, not where all the recruits want to go.
Place sucks.
Not doing it the way that the other schools are doing it. But Mike, I just want to clarify.
And their athletic department is operating at a massive deficit right now. This is a huge historical outlier, how Connecticut can continue to reshape itself without the same kind of resources that other major college basketball programs have.
Mike, I want to talk at some point about what is happening with women's college sports, because those pioneers at Connecticut, it really, Stugotz, it doesn't make sense that the men's basketball team would win like that with 3 different coaches and overwhelming like that. Like nobody had a chance against them. Those teams were, the last 3 teams they beat were all playing well. Gonzaga was playing well. Like they slaughtered Gonzaga. That does not happen in that tournament where one of those teams loses by 30. That's an NBA game when that happens.
Yes.
They were overwhelming. And I do think that this presents an opportunity. I don't know how much you got into it, but Jim Larrañaga and the men's team's run, I think I saw a stat out there that said Miami actually had the toughest run to the Final Four in tournament history with the teams that they had to go through. They just ran out. That we always knew that they needed just another big. It was a really physical game inside, and the size really showed a weakness of Miami's. I do think it was a little too physical. at times, and it kind of changed the complexion of the game. I don't think you just miss 14 layups out of a random oddity. I think there's reasons for it, and they got away with a lot down there, but credit to them. They can beat you many ways. Miami only has a certain way to beat you.
Miami actually came the closest in terms of losing margin to anybody who played UConn, which is incredible because that was not a close game.
That's the loser's lament.
Refs is a loser's
Not
lament.
just that, but also we played the champs tougher than anybody.
Yeah, well, I think
We'll take it. We'll take it.
there's plenty of moral victories to take from this wonderful Miami men's
Let's
basketball
hang the banner
season.
for that.
Well,
hang
we
that.
actually do have an actual banner for Midwest Regional Champs.
But also with that, just put
hang
like
that?
National
another
semifinalists.
flag appendage to it that just says, and we, like an asterisk, and we played the champs harder than anybody else.
But I say that to compliment UConn, not to aggrandize Miami, because that game was lopsided. I never felt like Miami was going to win that game.
Yeah, there was that 1-3 from Pack that I think cut the game to 8, and you thought, okay, as long as they get this under 10 with 6 minutes left, they can make a run. But
Then his shoes exploded.
and they got the wrong shoes. I was
I'm a
losing my
size
mind.
17. He's holding it like a boat. He's like,
Dude.
what is this? I'm a size 12.
I was losing my mind. I was watching it on an iPhone from WrestleMania, and I
Okay,
was
just
totally
stop.
beside myself.
Just that sentence, just stop.
Yeah.
We will get to your iPhone from WrestleMania stories in a second. But
You look like you had a
you've
week,
ju-
man.
You've come in.
Jesus.
We were doing a show for a week before you got back, all Hollywood. You've come in very strong. Just to close the loop, because that Messi story, that is good information.
Yeah, business deal points all talked out.
But you're basically saying Miami is more confident than it has ever been, and it's been plenty confident.
No, they were more confident.
But that all of this has been real, and that they've got a deal in place that if Messi indeed says, I'm the best there's ever been, I just did the last thing I had to do, and now I can merge with Miami and Apple for the close of my career, because look at what I just did to the entire sport, not just winning, but look at how the guy, what is that, the golden ball? Cristiano was even with him before, and now has ruined all of that. If Messi's choice, you're telling us, is down to, do I want to be Miami guy at the end who teams with Apple and buys real estate and closes my career retiring in Miami because I've done everything?
I think I understand why you're doing it. You're a writer, but the teaming with Apple thing, it's just a byproduct of being an owner. You could also say Jorge Mas is teaming with Apple. This is just league partner stuff.
No, but my point on Apple is that Apple wants to get into the streaming sports wars. They have MLS. It's a big investment. They just stole Whittingham from us. It's a big investment.
That's different than Messi.
Yeah, one
I
thing
would
is
say.
not like the other.
Yeah.
One of them hurts us. The other one does not.
No, Messi would hurt at this point.
Well, Messi coming to Miami means so much to Apple. Why isn't Apple contributing financially to Miami coming to Messi?
They are with this
With the rights deal.
Rights deal.
Beyond that.
Well, because you can only do so much, and the league has. If you've noticed that the league has already started making a wider runway for this deal to happen. Very quietly, they announced a deal that said you can buy out a designated player in the middle of the season. This was in anticipation for Messi coming aboard and Miami adhering to MLS's cap rules that say you can only have 3 designated players. They'd have to get rid of one in the meantime. A lot of this revolves around Sergio Busquets, the midfielder for Barcelona, who is kind of also agreed to a framework with Inter Miami. It's just a matter of, do they move forward and choose Miami over Barcelona right now? I would say Miami's confidence level was higher when I was starting to check on this like maybe 3 weeks ago than it is presently, which is not that they're being ghosted at all. There's still communication, but this Barcelona thing is absolutely sitting there right now, and you can't help but be worried a little bit because you've gotten this far and you still don't have the signature on the paper.
Is it true that Inter Miami has shut off season ticket sales until this summer?
That was another one of the signs. That happened a long time ago in terms of individual single game tickets. Yeah.
Pretty big sign, though.
Yeah, there have been a lot of pretty big signs.
Yeah.
The fact that they don't have a number 10 presently right now on the roster.
Are you telling me if I call to get season tickets right now, they'll say no? They won't take my money?
Yeah, because
Get the hell out of here.
Because in the summer they're
They're
going to be
sold out.
twice as much.
They're sold out of season tickets. I was trying to get an extra one.
You're telling me if I call to get tickets to an individual game, I can't get tickets?
You can get tickets for an individual game until July, and then resale market is all you can get.
All right.
I feel like they're gonna find something underneath that golf course.
There's a good chance of that.
Oh, yeah.
When they
There's gonna be
start
something
when
there
they
that's gonna
start
delay
digging-
something.
Oh, yeah.
Billy,
Gotti.
Billy, this
Isn't
is
it like poison soil also?
Yeah, very much so.
I gotta fix
There's
that.
gonna be something there.
Billy. There were ruins discovered recently by the Miami River. When they dig up that land, which has never been worth anything because it's marsh near the airport. It's marsh near the airport. We were never meant to develop on it.
Toxic
right.
marsh.
Plus, golfers have been pissing on it for 40 years.
They are absolutely going to dig up what? We've got to start taking guesses. There will be bodies, correct?
Jimmy Hoffa is going to be.
But you got
Pokey Reese.
that would be a big story.
Pokey.
That will be.
I should tell the audience that we've got a bit of an emotional week, I would say, here this week as we are leaving this studio. It's been an eventful 2 years where the show has struggled and groaned under the weight of trying to build a business. And we're going to move into new studios. Everything is moving after, I think it's close to 10 years here. And we're going to remember some of the things from the Clevelander because as expensive as the property value has gotten around here, the neighborhood has really deteriorated. There has been
So is my health.
there's been a lot of
But that's your fault.
shootings here recently and assassinations, plural. And we need to get out of here. And next
And that
week,
move is brought to you by Miller Lite. 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces.
next week is going to be a little bit difficult because we're going to be in the change. And these are not your problems. They are our problems. But we ask for yet more patience after 2 years of trying to build this thing. We're excited about getting into new studios. And we will remember the Clevelander throughout the rest of the week here, because one of the great memories I have, Stugotz, it really is one of my favorites as I've gotten late in life and have learned to appreciate some of this nonsense that we get to do every day, is the weekend before we were going to go on ESPN radio and start with whatever it is we were doing with them. They were going to make this studio look like all the other studios, which is just blue paneling behind us that would be nondescript. And my brother and I spent the entire weekend here putting all of this stuff up. And the reason that it's one of my favorite memories is because I remember the screaming phone calls on Monday when no one had been informed that that's what we would look like. And they didn't want us to look like that. Or no one had given them a heads up, I should say. It's not that they didn't want us to look like that. It's that they were going for homogenized at the beginning, and we put up all these tiles that we're at some point here going to just auction off because they've been here for 10 years representing us as we make a move to become a bigger business. We've got, Mike, do you know how many employees we have now? I don't know how many employees we have now.
I walked into to today's pre-production meeting, and I was a little stunned at how many people were in that room, considering it's just jarring seeing how we've started. And there was a lot of people here when we were doing HQ. It was even tighter back then in many respects because we had the equipment. But I think the stark contrast is from the pandemic days when ESPN would only allow you and me in these studios and people were zooming in. So maybe I'll have fonder memories when we get out of here, and I'll look back on some of the stuff that we did here and created here fondly, but I cannot wait to get out of this godforsaken building, thanks to Miller Lite.
Yeah.
Just 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces.
Winner
of 3 World Beer Cups. They don't just give those things away.
You have said that this place is haunted. You have come in hot from L.A. talking way too much about sponsorships and deals. We are moving. This is a growing business, and part that you left out was the answer to my question. How many employees do we have?
I don't know.
A lot.
Yeah, I don't know. Because there's a difference between full-time employees and part-time employees, but in terms of like people that are here, it seems like 87.
It's not here, but it's not just here, but it's a lot of people. It's much, much more than what's on air as we try to get up a video.
You would think the show would be a lot better.
You really would.
But it's only gotten worse.
Well, the solution to everything is hire more people, and then all it happens is more problems.
Well,
That's what I've noticed.
Again, the deterioration of everybody's health.
Yes, that's part of what's
hanging over
happening.
this show.
So do you have a top 5 nostalgic, syrupy memories instead of hauntings? Let's do some top 5 lists to celebrate our time here. 8 to 10 years, so Stugotz can be nostalgic. so that Roy can
It's been
be
8 to 10 years
nostalgic.
for everybody else. It's been 20 to 30 for Stu.
Yeah, it has. It
All
really
in
has.
space, by the way.
Yep.
Billy can get emotional here. Teach the
I
young
don't want to
ones.
leave.
What?
I revealed
so
that
not
today
true.
in the
Liar.
garage.
Billy
Stugotz
said
is-
that to me. Yeah, I was
Yeah,
having
and
a heater in the garage.
He was talking to Cougs upstairs in the garage. I was walking down.
Who's Cougs?
Cougs?
Oh, you know.
What
Do you not want
Come on,
to? Do you
Dan.
not want to? I am more worried about them finding a body underneath your desk than I am in Mel Reese.
I have a plastic container. I have to take all this stuff today, I was told. So
luck with
That's
that.
why you don't want to leave because you got to clean up.
I like it here. I mean, downtown floods. I don't know if we're supposed to say we're going to downtown, but it floods there, and anytime it rains, I'm gonna have to get a boat or a kayak to get from my car.
Is it Judd
floods here, yeah.
Apatow sock puppet still over there?
No, I think one of the dancers took that.
To be clear, we have a
Really?
day and a time of great hope, and you're already fearing change. You're
It's
already
not fear, as I'm comfortable here. This place is fine to me. I don't
Billy's Fear is brought to you by Miller Lite. Just 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces.
I'm gonna
Delicious.
see the new studio today. Maybe that'll change things.
You don't
Yeah.
want to move. You don't want to move.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I get a vote on this. I think it's happening whether I want to or not.
You get a vote.
Yeah, we're a little further along. But I am excited for everybody to experience the new building. I've gone over there a couple of times, and I was honestly moved to tears the first time just because there's so much space. So much space to
Moved to
do
tears.
this. I was,
I
yeah,
don't
because it
believe
feels
that.
Were
like
you wearing a hard hat?
no, we're beyond that. But
Oh.
not to get too into it, and I'm sure there's plenty of time for nostalgia and stuff like that. But we've been through a lot, man. It's been hard. We've been through a couple of different companies and a bunch of different incarnations of the show. I've had really good memories here, and I've had some professional lows that I would just like to remove myself from. I feel like all those emotions every time I come into this building, which is good and bad, and I'm just really excited for a new mile marker for the company. It feels like actual growth because we're going to do this in a much nicer place, and I'm excited for that.
All that space in the new building also sponsored by Miller Lite.
Killing it.
We will get to the top 5. Good contribution so far, Greg.
you slur
got-
there?
Why did he slur this?
I like
I
it very
mean,
much.
when
Yeah.
he starts to drinking.
Miller Lite, yeah.
I
just
mean,
The
Miller
guy's
Lite.
bleeding. Leave him alone. I mean,
He is
there's
bleeding. He's
blood
got an
coming out of his
open
wound.
wound.
Yeah.
But Billy thinks he
You
looks
look
great.
great, though.
It
Yeah,
looks like he's had
exactly.
work done.
Thank you, Billy.
I don't think Billy was being sarcastic.
I
You're-
wasn't. I mean, you have a nice haircut, clean shaven, got a pep in your step today.
Pep in it.
We have. I should probably just tell the audience because I remember promising Stugotz, and I've lied here, and I try not to lie to the audience or anybody
same.
that I would
What happened?
that I would show the audience like what the last 2 years have been like while we were doing it. We've just had to conceal some of it because it's been hard and messy, and you've probably felt it in the strain of the show. The show has had to change and be different, and like we thought a lot of people were going to jump with us, and Amin came, and it was Amin. And then we looked, and it was still Amin, and it's Amin, and reinforcements are now coming, ever so slowly. Heroic Pablo
What's
Oh,
he
Torre,
doing, by the
I don't
way?
know,
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
help
talk to
moving
me.
slowly.
Yeah.
Jesus
Guys
Christ.
planting something?
Did he get the memo of the unlimited PTO that everybody takes around here?
But this,
yeah.
yes.
Where is he?
That was
Working from home.
in retrospect, as a company policy, it's delightful. I like it spiritually, but it hurts. Yeah, it hurts the unlimited personal time off.
Terrible
well,
policy.
But it's a good policy. You got to admit, it's a
well,
good
the policy
policy.
is we never know who's going to be here.
I
mean,
He's a surprise in that sense.
I can answer the questions on where's Pablo, but there's a lot that goes into this move, and if you haven't been able to tell already, Dan will be making excuses on the front end for the dip in quality, and he's very worried about this move. And Pablo's not here in part because we're all worried about how Dan will take this move. There's a lot of stuff that we're throwing at Dan. We're changing the formatting of the show. We're changing where the show is produced from, and I think just throwing Pablo and hey, here's another body complicates things a little bit. So we're going to ease Pablo into the rotation.
Nobody wants to hear the excuses, and I'm not. I am making excuses for whatever the content is next week when we're between studios.
Dan's excuses are brought to you by Miller Lite.
excellent.
What is your top 5 list about? Have you assembled a top 5 list? I'd like to do this a little syrupy if we can, because it's an emotional week for me and for us, Stugotz.
We got an emotional week next week and the week after that too.
They're all
We all
emotional
deal
at
with
this
Dan.
point. Yeah.
Okay.
It's
At
a
this
very
age?
sensitive ecosystem, and I'm very worried about changing the ecosystem around Dan.
Well, this has been a comfortable place for us. I shouldn't say unlike, like Billy, I am risk averse and uncomfortable with some change. I get comfortable in places, but this place has become physically uncomfortable.
But Billy hasn't seen the new studios yet.
Yeah.
You have. So I was fortunate enough to stop by last week to go check them out. They're beautiful. So I felt better about us moving. You've seen
Oh,
them.
but I'll tell you why, though. I will tell you why, and this is way inside, but it's Conan O'Brien learned it. Conan O'Brien, when he changed networks and it was a big deal and he became an important person, they walk him into his new studio and it's a beautiful auditorium, beautiful, like the most expensive thing he could ever dreamed. And he walks in and he says, oh no, not because of the pressure, because they used to do an intimate thing in an intimate place in an intimate way, in a way that connected with the audience intimately. And no, you put it in a ballroom in an auditorium as opposed to a place I was here on the weekend with my brother putting up the signage myself. Like it becomes a different thing. And so
keep in mind, this place will also be intimate. There's a difference between intimate and crammed like a sardine can.
Correct. This place has become physically uncomfortable and people are dying in the building and outside it. We have to move.
Yeah.
Billy, we have to move.
To do a top 5 per day is the way it was explained.
I'm sorry. I thought we were 10 minutes.
Right,
Yeah,
Mike?
I was just trying to wrap you up there because
Did you guys get
we're
the same
tracking the
thing? It's a
9.
top 5 per day, right?
Yeah, one per day
Okay, 1 per day.
until we get out of here.
Yeah, TV. I know that I gave you this list before, but in talking things out, I've made a couple of alterations to it. So I'm sorry.
So you're doing top 5 what?
I'm doing top 5 in studio guests.
All right, I'll do parking lot tomorrow.
That'll be a good
Top
one.
5 things I'm going to
That's
miss
good.
about the parking lot.
Oh, yeah.
Do you want to start, Mike?
Blood.
Yeah.
Human shit.
I dropped yesterday, Stugotz, a book for a guest that you have
didn't
in
pick it
May
up?
in the parking lot.
You left it there?
I did pick it up, but I said this
Doesn't need
this
11.
one's not going to get read. Same thing happened with me last week with a belt. I dropped a belt on the floor, and I just said, you know what? I'm not wearing a belt today.
Not worth it.
I picked it up with something else, put it on the floor of my car. I got home. It was just in the back of my car for a while. I told my wife, we got to watch that belt. I don't know how we're going to do it. We got to watch that.
Now you're going to
Yeah,
wash the entire car.
Yeah, well, I know.
Sell it.
We need 11 minutes here to finish out the hour.
Didn't we already start?
Nope.
Yes, I think we
That's for
already did
tomorrow.
start.
That's for
That's
tomorrow.
for
I know,
tomorrow.
no, but I'm
Tomorrow's list,
saying
yeah.
that we're teasing it for tomorrow, and today it's a different top 5 list because Stugotz has got to prepare. It's not going to be now human shit because we already gave that away.
Yeah.
All right, so here's my top
it.
5 for today, and it's brought to you by friends over at Miller Lite who are sponsoring this entire move. And it's the top 5 guests that we ever had in studio here at the Clevelander.
In studio guest, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is going to be nostalgic here.
Yeah,
Huh.
and this will also afford you guys the opportunity to chime in with some of your favorites. I imagine I've missed one along the years, so we'll begin with the outside looking in.
Were they from here for highly questionable, or here are we limiting it to the show, our show?
I'm limiting it to our show. I still have Ice Cube in there on my outside looking in. The problem is most of that was with highly questionable, and I don't have a lot of frame of reference for that outside of one of the kings of West Coast rap just wandering through a very tight hall and being really embarrassed about how we'd entertain said king of West Coast
I was
rap.
embarrassed by the hospital couch that had been sent for $50 by ESPN to represent our green room.
That was
Yes.
a nice couch.
It was a nice couch.
No,
It
you got to
was
be
nice.
shitting
Slept
me.
a lot on
was
that.
nice.
That couch was a punishment.
You've got to be shitting me, Billy. You did not like
It
that
wasn't a bad
couch.
couch. It was a nice couch.
It was a really bad couch.
Served its
Billy,
purpose.
Billy.
Sit on it.
Billy, it was a terrible couch. It was uncomfortable. It was the couch in a hospital room where they don't want you to spend the night in that
It
hospital
was
room.
harder than the floor.
It was from Hialeah, $50 is what they sent us for a green room.
It's a good price for that couch.
No.
Yeah.
Also, OLI, Michael Irvin.
Oh.
That's
was-
OLI.
That's a
That
good
was-
top
Playmaker.
5.
What
That
a great
was-
day.
That was wild.
Do you have any sound from
Oh
that?
my God! No, like nothing that I would stand by airing right now. It was like the revelation that he got quote Lewinsky in his Hall of Fame jacket. It was just Man, he was on one.
Yes,
day.
he was. Yes,
And then Stugotz bailed on you guys for dinner.
I did. Yeah.
that was one of the. Yes, that's what happened. So Stugotz lands Michael Irvin as a guest. He has come here having consumed whatever it is was consumed on South Beach, and then I was having dinner with Michael Irvin and his brother and paying for everybody in a dinner Stugotz was supposed to be at.
Yeah.
Stugotz was going to dinner with them. He did not. I did.
Yeah.
Now-
Thank you for that.
Now, Dan sounded reckless, but I will implore the audience to just check this interview out, and you can draw your own conclusions.
I just
because
said
that was
consuming
wild.
South Florida. That's all I said.
That was wild. That experience.
That's
with
outside
Michael Irvin.
looking in.
That's hard to believe.
Yeah. And also, final OLI, there was a moment during the Super Bowl down here where Aaron Donald and Ric Flair were in studio together. Oh, yeah. And that was just really, really fun.
Mike, that's outside looking in.
Yes, yeah. Well, this will give you the opportunity to cape up for yours. But now we're in the true top 5. Number 5, Dan awkwardly hugging Josh Norman.
Oh, yeah.
I don't have a lot of moments I like more than us rummaging through the hotel security cam to get, having talked about how awkward the hug was, but not having televised it in real time, having to go through security to get security footage that then revealed in an investigation that I had indeed hugged him in a way that was more awkward than even we'd explained was pretty good.
We covered the shit out of those Carolina Panther teams, and we had very good ratings in North Carolina because of it.
We were the number 1 show.
Yeah, we had a really good relationship with Josh Norman, but just no real chemistry physically when it came to bro hugging.
One of the great regrets of watching sports in my lifetime is seeing Josh Norman churn through the machine and go from someone who was interesting and fun and free to the interview I did with him a year ago where he was broken by the system and trying to get on a practice squad. And it's like he would say nothing. It was, it hurt my soul seeing how the machine, I remember saying it when we talked to him the first time, don't change, please don't change. And then the machine got him.
Yeah. Number 4, Jorge Masvidal. One of the great in-studio hits of our show's history. He was so playful. He ate so much. It was crazy to see him.
His dad ate a lot.
Yeah, but he went outside across the street and put on a martial arts display with Stugotz. It really started a wonderful on-air relationship between Masvidal and this show and Stugotz. And we got behind a fighter that reached the pinnacle. I mean, I know he won a fake belt, but the BMF
belt was here in the building.
Yeah.
We saw that too. That was exciting.
Yeah, when he came
we
back.
parlayed that into the weigh-in at Madison Square Garden, me and you.
And that
Mike,
was
right?
a really fun chapter in our
it was
show's
great.
history. I look
Yeah.
back on
Well,
it
but
fondly.
don't just skip past that, though. Stugotz was on a stage barefoot with The Rock, introducing Masvidal at the height of UFC for the belt everyone wanted, as opposed to all the other belts in that sport.
That was at the theater at Madison Square Garden. It was great. It's one of the highlights of my career. What made it even better was there was a Dead show right next door afterwards.
Wow.
Oh, my God.
That's how I got him to go.
What a night.
That's how I got you to go. Number 3.
The relationship, like many things during the pandemic, broken
Yes.
by the pandemic.
Number 3, Derek Dietrich.
You've got 2 better than this.
Yeah, well, Derek,
Shirtless, too.
yeah, we didn't actually book him, right? He was just downstairs.
He was coming to the pool. Yes.
partying at the pool. So a shirtless Derek Dietrich popped into our studio and was just hanging back there. Great body. Yeah, that was a fun, organic moment. One of those only in South Beach type moments, Dan. Again, this list is brought to you by Miller Lite.
The part that you're leaving out is that I had said on a very popular local radio show in Miami that Darren Dietrich was not a major leaguer, that the Marlins were employing somebody who was not a major leaguer. And when he came by here, he was no longer a Marlin. He was a Cincinnati Red, and he had hit 17 home runs that month. 17 that month. It was like a record. He was coming in off that. I think that's why he was here.
Shirtless.
I don't think it was the pool. I don't think it was the party by the beach. I think it's because he hit 17 home runs.
So far, not much pushbacks on these, so I feel good about this top 5 list. Number 2, the late, great Bob Saget.
Oh, yeah.
Fantastic appearance on our show. He was doing Stugotz reservations, but as Bob Saget, he was super playful. He told great stories on the air, and he was FaceTiming with Stugotz's family. he became a good friend of the show, and maybe he's getting bumped up a little bit because of his tragic passing. But Bob Saget, I will remember that fondly because he was so nice to everybody. It was just really cool to have Danny Tanner here in the building.
Put it on the poll, please, Juju. Was Bob Saget bumped up a couple of spots because of his untimely passing?
Rest in power.
Yep. Our thoughts and prayers presented by Miller Lite.
Number one, our move is presented by Miller Lite. Greg Cody's slur is presented by Miller Lite.
What?
Oh, if you followed, and you know it.
Yeah, and you know it.
And if you followed this show over the course of 18 years, you know that Dan's favorite show of all time is Breaking Bad. And for the
You're welcome.
the majority
This
of our
is the best. I
This
mean,
is such a good story.
The majority of our show's
deserves
history.
to be number one.
Majority of our shows, I still can't believe this happened. Majority of our show's history was spent making interview requests for Bryan Cranston, and it never working out because Bryan Cranston was a huge star and always super busy. And I'm not really exactly sure what happened. We had a request.
Happened. What do you mean you don't know what happened?
Yeah,
we happened.
We had a request in, and this was when Allison was booking guests, and she's on top of everything. But I guess a message back to us that we were approved for an interview never got to us in time, and the message that Dan and Stu would not be in studio never got out in time. We were completely dark on ESPN television. We were just audio only. We had fill-ins. The studio was very dark. I mean, because we had no idea where the lights were. It was George Sedano, Izzy Gutierrez, and members of the shipping container. We get a knock on the door saying, I have Bryan Cranston and Benjamin Bratt here. And my reaction was, what? Like, what? And so we, on the fly, had to fit Bryan Cranston and Benjamin Bratt into that studio with George Sedano and Izzy Gutierrez at the time that there was no one in any industry that Dan wanted to speak to more, and he missed the golden opportunity to interview the dream candidate in Bryan Cranston, and he also missed staring at Benjamin Bratt's gorgeous skin. Really good-looking guy. Billy, you took the newspaper that Bryan Cranston was reading. Imagine having to explain all of this to Bryan Cranston, by the way. We look like such an amateur operation.
Well, they stayed sitting in an SUV for like 20 minutes because we were at Fusion at the time and we didn't have enough microphones set up. So we had to go and crawl under the desk for Fusion to take a microphone, but the cord was about 200 feet long and it had zip ties tying it to the bottom of various portions of the desk. And then it went under the stage. So we had to cut all of that, take out a 200-foot long cord, and then kind of spool it together and plug it in. And it looked like this giant extension cord just wrapped around where Greg Cody was sitting for some reason.
But you all of a sudden got...
lights were off.
You got pulled into engineering and no one knew how to turn on the lights.
No idea how to turn on the lights. It was all so surreal. Just Walter White is just waiting for us to figure
look, man,
shit
if we
out.
go all the way back, Mike, if we go back to original Fusion when we did the interview with Lemmy to try to explain to people...
Lemmy.
I remember that.
To try to explain to people what has been done in this studio. Like, keep in mind, if you've been with us for 10 years, I know that some of you have been with us for 18 years, so you've seen the growth and you remember all of these moments. And we're going to start packaging some of them in our library and remembering them as we transition. We'll probably do some of that next week as we transition into the new studio. But John Skipper one time asked me over dinner, hey, do you want to be on television with this? And I had never given it any thought. I just shrugged is all I did. And then they made a relationship with Fusion because I wasn't sure I wanted to do it. I wasn't sure I wanted cameras watching us, that I liked the intimacy of how we did it. And he wanted to do it. I didn't really want to do it. I didn't care about television. And so he made a deal with Fusion, one of the few Miami companies that could do such a thing. And Howard Stern's people, or one of Howard Stern's people who put him on television, was trying to do it from Doral through here with Billy wrapping cords together so that Bryan Cranston can come in on a day that we weren't in.
We made it work.
And yeah, but can you imagine? It's probably one of the worst settings he's ever had, right?
Settings-wise, yes. The interview was actually stellar.